Today for this video, I'm making an ostrich egg canteen. I also have a new leather for the On the Leather projects. This is a commercially tanned deer skin to simulate brain tan. It's kind of nice. Have an ostrich egg, which is the main focus of this video. It's been emptied. I've got a small cork that fits the hole quite nicely, so that's what I'm using instead of carving one. This won't be exactly watertight, but the originals weren't necessarily either. I'm going to make a net carrier for it, a web carrier basically out of jute cord that I happen to have. And how I'm going to do that is I start out at the bottom. Let me take that out so I don't accidentally break it. These are unusually thick, tough shells, and they were used as canteens after they were emptied out and eaten. So I decided to use one when I got my hands on one. And now I'm just figuring out how much cord I need, 4 strands to make the container. You add the knots, you go back and double it, and then I always add more. It's easier to cut string off than add string to something that's been cut too short. There's one. We need 4. Okay, after you carefully set the egg aside, take each of your 4 strands that you cut. Fold them in half. Do this for every strand. Place them in an X pattern with the folded ends in the middle. What we're making is the queen's knot. Once these are in the middle, pull 1 strand from each and pair them up. If you don't, the knot won't be what you want. Okay, now this is the part that's kind of a pain in the butt. Take the first 2 strands, take it over. Take the next ones over and take it over 2. Leave a loop. Take that over 2. And take this one get it straightened out. And take this one over and through the original loop that you made. Okay, once you have that, start pulling them out, the ends out real carefully. Keep your finger over the center of the knot and just pull them tight, little at a time. It'll look like you don't really want to come out, but it will. Okay, that's your center knot. This is the bottom. This is the knot that goes on the bottom of your container or whatever you're trying to tie a net around. And then you take 1 string from each of the 4. And I'll usually want my first row of knots right about there. So you tie a knot. Overhand. Simple, better, easy. You can get as anal as you want on this. I'll usually get it close. Beyond that, it really doesn't matter. There's your first row of knots. The second one I'll probably put right about there. So you take one from each. Pull it straight. This time I'm using 3-finger spacing. This isn't overly difficult. If you do a couple, get some cheap string, cord, whatever, practice on before you cut into something like something more expensive that you want to use, and practice. It isn't difficult, but a few times of doing it will make it easy. This will slide up and as you can see how it's starting to set up. You're starting to have a net bag. The next one will probably go right there. So when you're setting up your knot to center it, always grab the queen knot and pull. You want it about that far out. All right, so that's roughly, you can measure it with a ruler. If you get into that habit, you'll have some difficulty if you're out in the field trying to do this without it. I just use what I have available, and that's my hands. All right, now we're down to the very top part, and what I'll do on this is tie short knots around the hole so it can't come out. And the last knot will be probably tied with the egg in it. We'll go back down to 2 fingers on that one. You take your egg, slide it into the contraption. It should fit without having to really force it. These are fairly, like I said, these are fairly tough, but they are an egg. All right, and your last 2, as I said, will be tied. And I'll use a square knot instead of an overhand because it's just simpler. There's your carrier for your water bottle. And all you do is you pop your cork in it. I take these usually and we'll come up. See which ones we want. will come up and tie an overhand with 4 of them together, and that'll give you a loop to hook a strap through. You can either leave or cut these off, but since it's jute cord, that's what your strap will hook through to carry your egg. I usually leave them, especially it would be a good tinder and fire starter. So all you'd have to do is lop off a little bit and fluff it up. If you can't find any that's available, you could use it that way. That's my thought on it. Then to drink, after you fill it with water, you just pop it off, hold it up and drink out of it. Here's an ostrich egg canteen and carrier.